Chris?
I've got you.
All right. We are going to roll straight into questions. Thanks for joining us today on what we know is a busy day. We are going to take our first question from Kelly Crandall. Kelly, go ahead.
Thank you. Hey, Kurt. You had said a couple weeks ago, maybe about a month or so ago now, that you and Kyle missed practice. So I'm curious, going into the playoffs, having run these races once or twice already throughout the summer, will having a notebook at all be beneficial for your team to just have something to build off of?
Yeah, with the schedule now being back on regular schedule, this is where you have to use that extra focus and intensity, and you can now use last year's notes in the same spot for these races. So yeah, it's been tough with no practice, but the notes that we have and the consistency within the runs we've had this year, I'm looking forward to the next few races and getting through these rounds and trying to get to that Elite Eight and then try to win one of those races to punch our ticket to get to Phoenix and run for the championship.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to take our next question from Jeff Gluck. Jeff, go ahead.
Hey, Kurt, other than yourselves, who do you think is a team that people aren't necessarily talking about that can make a pretty good run here, surprise people in the playoffs?
I think one of the surprises is Alex Bowman. The way that he runs well at the tracks that are abrasive and have that worn out surface, and that's what you're going to see at Darlington. You see that at Richmond, and so I think he's one of those surprises that I think can go pretty far in playoffs.
Great, thank you.
Okay, we're going to take our next question from Pete Acabelli. Pete, go ahead.
Hey, Kurt. It seems like it's only a few months ago that we were at Darlington before, but it probably feels like 100 years ago now. So many things have changed. How much of a watershed moment for your sport, for other sports, was you guys getting back on the track and doing things the right way in order that we're here still racing?
It was so powerful and impressive to see how NASCAR put together the effort with the team owners, the drivers, and putting in place all these safety protocols to be able to go out there and perform and to be that like beacon of a light for all other sports to kind of focus in on us and to watch us. It came with that big moment of responsibility, but also, everybody embraced that moment to create, something big for NASCAR and to be able to go out there and race and to get back to some sense of normalcy. Everybody deserves a pat on the back in the NASCAR community.
Okay, Bob Pockris.
Yeah, Kurt, overall, when looking at the last 10 races, is it more important to you as far as like what round you reach, or more important just to get a win in the final 10?
Ultimately, we're here for the championship, and you have to race, each week with the mindset of getting points through the stages and, checking off the boxes that it takes to get those points and to be consistent. And so, yes, of course we want to win, but we want to advance through all the rounds to give ourselves a shot at the championship. So consistency has been good for us this year, and we just need to continue to do that and execute as a team to get through each of these rounds.
Thank you.
Okay, our next question will come from Alex Andrea. Alex, go ahead.
Hey, Kurt, thank you for your time. This is a little bit off of Kelly's question and kind of what she had asked about. You said before you had missed practice, and now coming into playoffs, you and Kyle have been sort of neck and neck in points this whole season. Have you guys talked about this playoff run sort of being like a reset for you and for Kyle too? I mean, how are you sort of looking at these next 10 races?
Yeah, I'm looking at it one race at a time. We put ourselves in this position to be playoff eligible and to have a shot at the championship. And so we know that this is an opportunity to do something great. And so just 1 week at a time. I love Darlington. It's one of my favorite racetracks. With Richmond and Bristol, two short tracks in this first round. We can't get too far ahead of ourselves, but just if we execute as a team, we've got a great shot at all this. And I know my little brother, though, he's putting a little extra stress on himself because he wants to, win a race and to continue his streak of winning seasons. And so he's throwing a little extra pressure on himself that way. And so maybe that'll be a distraction for him.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to take our next question from Deb Williams. Deb, go ahead.
Hi, Kurt. Thank you for taking time to be with us today. This is your 14th time in the playoffs, and you, Denny Hamlin, and Kevin Harvick are the only 3 drivers who have been in the playoffs 14 times. You won your championship the first year of the playoffs. You've been through all the different formats and with different teams. What are the most valuable or the most valuable thing you've learned through all that time and those experiences that you feel will benefit you the most in this playoff?
I still think it comes down to consistency and to know how to execute through each of the stages in the races, but through each of the rounds. And, just that consistency that we built on this year with the Ganassi team, that's our strength. And that's what we have to use when we go through these different races and through these different rounds. And so just staying, calm and cool and collected around our consistency, that's probably the biggest thing that I've taken through all these years.
Okay. Thank you and good luck.
Okay, we're going to take our next question from Mark Garrow with PRN. Mark, go ahead.
Thank you. Kurt, I was wondering what your thoughts on Bristol being a cutoff race and what that may mean to the finish of the race at Bristol.
It's going to be big. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be a cool challenge, to have that as a cutoff race. And the biggest thing is that, like Darlington and Richmond, anytime a yellow comes out, most likely you're going to be pitting for tires. At Bristol, you can stay out and change the sequence. And so that's where the variable of that pitch strategy call is going to be a huge difference maker. So, if we make it simple, we just win at Darlington, and that way we don't have to stress that round.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to take our next question from Dustin Albino. Dustin, go ahead.
Yeah, Kurt, thanks for your time today. You keep mentioning consistency. You got 4 top 5s, 14 top 10s this year. How would you assess where the one team's at going into the playoffs?
I think we're in a good spot. We're in that underdog type position, but also, the tracks that are coming up, with Darlington and Richmond, Bristol, those are all my favorites. And the team has run really well at those tracks. And so we just have to go execute as a team, not get too far ahead of ourselves, and just execute. That's really what we got to do, these first few races to get to the next round.
Thank you, Kurt.
Okay, our next question will come from Dustin Long. Dustin, go ahead.
Thank you. Kurt, can you just describe or explain to me what you're about to experience over the next 10 weeks? You've done this many times, but just the emotional roller coaster you're about to go on for as much as you say, trying to remain calm and cool, just what you're going to experience.
It's a playoff mindset. It's a playoff atmosphere, and you can't get too far ahead of yourself. Each and every week, is just that laser focus on what it takes to execute and to put ourselves in good positions at Darlington. Once Darlington's over, then it's laser focused on Richmond. And so it's, again, just that playoff mindset and going and attacking it peacefully and strategically, because 10 weeks, it's a long run, but you got to stay on it.
Okay, our next question will come from Lee Spencer. Lee, go ahead.
Thank you, and thanks for joining us today, champ. You guys feel like you're missing it more so because Chevrolets are at a disadvantage right now, or do you think it's Ganassi Racing?
I feel like we've done a good job as a group at Chevrolet to work together on super speedway racing, as well as tire data and strategic pitch sequences and strategies. I really think Chevy's done a good job in connecting everybody. Yes, the Fords seem to be a little bit more powerful at like the 1.5 miles with their horsepower that they have. The Toyotas, they seem like their downforce is a bit more than what we have right now. But hey, it's what we have. It's right now, and it's 2020, and I'm looking at our strengths with consistency is what we have to go through. It's what we have to take with us as we go through each of these rounds.
Appreciate your time. Good luck in the postseason.
Okay, our next question will be Jeff from Empire Sports. Jeff, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Kurt. Thank you for joining us today. You're one of two drivers in this playoff bracket that ran without a playoff system, the other being Kevin Harvick. So my question is, how much has the playoff meant to you, and how much has it meant to NASCAR as a whole, and how it's changed the sport over the years in this, our 17th year of the postseason? Of course, Matt won the last non-playoff year.
What I think it's done is it gave it a strong comparison to other sports. There's that playoff atmosphere. There's that, championship race where, 4 guys are eligible to win the championship, and it's an even playing ground. So when it was a long marathon process of going through all 36 races, that was a different sequence. That was maybe not as much intensity when it got down to the final rounds. And so with these 10 weeks, the playoff atmosphere is there, and it relates well to other sports, and that's where it draws in more fans that might not have been NASCAR fans.
Thank you, Kurt.
Before.
Best of luck to you and to the Golden Knights.
Okay, our next question will come from John Newby. John, go ahead.
Thank you very much. So, Kurt, you had a third place at the Real Heroes 400, and you've had some really good performances at Darlington. What is it about this track that works so well for you, and does it give you an advantage heading into the weekend?
Yeah, I really enjoy running at Darlington. The way you have to race the racetrack and somewhat ignore the other cars out there while you're racing. It's that old school mentality of just race the racetrack, stay patient, and find the right setup changes to adapt to the track's changing conditions. And so it's one of those crown jewel races too. It's the Southern 500, kicks off our playoffs. I love the atmosphere right now, and so we're going after it strong.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, our next question will come from Scott Chansey. Scott, go ahead.
Kurt, what would it mean to win at Darlington?
It would mean the world to me. A track that I really enjoy running. I feel like I'm competitive every time I go there, but I haven't won. And so it's one of those challenges of, you love it, you hate it, but Darlington, you have to respect the racetrack, and you have to do your job as a driver to communicate to the crew on what changes we need to adjust to. The pit crew has a large responsibility at Darlington just because of the abrasive surface and how much the tires wear out. So it's that full team effort. But for me, I definitely want this crown jewel race. I want to put this trophy up on the mantle right alongside my Daytona win and right alongside a 600 win.
Okay, our next question will come from Jordan Bianchi. Jordan, go ahead.
Kurt, a non-playoff question, if you will. Discussions going on about who's going to be in the 42 car next year. Wondering if you've offered your input or been asked to offer your input and what you'd like to see for a teammate in that car next year.
Yeah, I've given my input to Chip Ganassi and to our management. I think it's important to find the right combination of a driver that can add to the program right away, but also will have years ahead of him or her on what they can bring to the program. It's all about that teamwork effort right now. It seems like every year that I come back to race, there's more and more that you have to rely on through different departments. And so a driver that comes into our program is going to have to be able to adapt to all those departments and sequences. And so we'll see how things play out. I don't know where Chip is right now, but I know we've got 10 weeks ahead of us with a playoff run, and that's my focus on the number 1 car.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Okay, we're going to take our next question from Steven Taranto with 24/7 Sports. Go ahead, Steven.
Kurt, I wanted to ask you this because it's the Southern 500 weekend. As we've discussed the 2021 schedule and beyond, there's been a lot of talk about maybe shortening races and being more selective with which races are 500-mile races. Right now, we've got 10 races on the schedule, which are either 500 miles or 500 laps. Do you think that 500-mile mark should be reserved for special races like Darlington, like Daytona, Coke 600 in Charlotte? And where do you think the sport is going as far as that's concerned?
Yeah, I think you're headed down the right path. I mean, if I had a magic wand and could wave it over our schedule, and adjust race lengths, yes, I think that the Daytona 500 is 500 miles, right? The Coke 600, leave that one. Darlington, it should be a 500 miler, and then maybe one more, and that's it. Just have maybe 4 races on the schedule that would be of that length. And that makes those races that much more of a marquee type win. And then the other races can be 400s or 300s.
Sounds good. Thank you, Kurt.
Okay, our next question we will take with Kelvin from ROC Sports. Go ahead, Kelvin.
Thank you. Thanks, Kurt, for joining us today. So you kind of hit on it, your strongest tracks coming up, Darlington, Richmond, Bristol. So with the points being as tight as they are, how important is it that these are the first 3 tracks for you and your race team and the confidence level going in, that you could end up getting through and increasing that lead in the points to make it to that round of 12, then on to the round of 8?
Yeah, I feel like, at this point, it's a reset. Everybody's basically even in points. Yes, there's the top 5. I would say that Harvick, Hamlin, Logano, Keselowski, and Chase are a little bit further ahead, but if we have one good stage, we can jump up to 8th in points, before the halfway break at Darlington. So points are basically even right now. It's a matter of just staying calm and cool and being patient and finding the right points through the different stages and through these first 3 races.
Thanks, Kurt. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to take one final question before we need to let Kurt go, and we will go to Michael Shelton. Go ahead with your question.
Thank you very much. Well, Kurt, as your brother Kyle famously said, that's 2020. But could you have imagined a scenario where both you and him would be winless entering this year's playoffs? I was just curious how much you guys have talked about it and how much you've joked who's going to get the first win of 2020 between the two of you.
Yeah, I never would have guessed. I felt like the way our season started was strong and consistent, and then we had a shot to win the first race back after our delay at Darlington. And then it just seemed like these opportunities here or there just slipped through our fingers and we didn't execute to get those wins. And so my little brother, same thing. I feel like his luck has definitely been he's challenged his luck in many different ways, and it just hasn't unfolded for him to get those wins. But hey, we're both championship eligible. We're in the playoffs. And here's the reset. So here we go.
Thank you very much. Good luck.
All right, Kurt, we appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us today. We wish you the best with the rest of your day.
Thank you, guys. Good to talk to you.